speak to my client and my clients know that this is not a favor. I'm here, these are my conditions, I'm going to use a condom. You come and you confiscate that. I don't have any other form of protection except for a condom. So if I get infected, it stems from the fact that you took from me something that may have prevented me from getting infected. So just even in terms of how we do things and how we carry
and how
out
police, I mean, how you as a police officer might treat a sex worker might also implicate the way in which, you know, they interact and increasing their risk.
Exactly.
We're not in the business of trying to stop people from having sex. Everyone has a right to do whatever they want with their bodies. It's for us to be able to encourage people to do that, to protect themselves, and for us to be able to find meaningful platforms for people to engage with that protection, to help them. When that's why we are service providers.
So I was having a conversation a while back on a workshop with young women, because we're talking about young women and having sex, which is another thing that is so important for us to know. It is easier for young boys to engage and talk about sex, to talk about masturbation. When I first learned about masturbation and ejaculation and sex, it was in the context of wet dreams and guys jerking off, and it was always in the context of understanding sex and sexuality and masturbation and people that watch porn and people that fantasize. All of those things I understood as things that men do. And by men, in a very heterosexual traditional context of people saying a man is a person with a penis. And so there's that.
And many wives allow their husbands to be able to, but they don't watch porn. They don't watch porn.
They don't touch themselves. They don't play with themselves. When your clitoris is, if you are a woman with a vagina and you know you play with your clitoris, it's pleasurable. And so it's really it has been problematized so much for women just to be sexual beings. Then now take that same woman and make them younger. Then it's like another big issue. That you're only 16. How dare you have sex? I've had conversations with young women that have said, you know what, Nomtika, I don't even, as we walk in with our school uniform, we're told to turn away. Then you go home to change, you come back, the clinic is closed. So these are some of these things that we also need to look at. Then Nomtana is not gonna have sex. That's the thing. You can take away the condoms from them. You can take away all forms of prevention, contraception, access, everything. It's not gonna stop them from having sex.
True.
Because their sexual
Christianity won't stop them.
No.
We won't stop them.
We won't.
Even if you're shouting at them, even if you're beating them.
So you can never stop a person from having sex. You can stop them from having safe sex when you create these barriers. And so that's one thing that we need to think about. The problem is not the fact that she had sex or they had sex. The problem is the fact that they wanted to access prevention services and they wanted to take the right precaution before they had sex, but then you took that away from them. So they had sex, and these are the result of unprotected sex. So that's as an user that we need to think about as barriers to access. And they were saying it's irritating because I feel like sometimes when they chase us away and they shout at us for having sex, it's because they know that sex is nice and they want to enjoy it themselves, and they don't want us to enjoy it, and they want to transfer some of the fears that their mothers had about them and some of the things that they experienced. They're transferring those fears to us when we want to have access and we want to be able, because we can't say I had sex when I was early, so don't, because you will also fall pregnant. No, it's I had sex when I was early and I didn't have the information, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the prevention services. Now when you have sex around the same age, if it is, or a younger age, whenever you feel ready, you must be able to have all the right information.
En Nomtika is belangrik dat mense ook verstaan dat ons kan nie mense se die kinders especially kan ons see hulle behavior. Kan ons see, we can't regulate and police their sexual behavior, because van jy weet nie wat jou kind maak as hulle in 'n ander environment is. Jy weet nie as hulle na shopping mall toe gaan of hulle gaan uit met vriende wat hulle eintlik daar is nie. So daar maak jy. So is so belangrik dat ons moet vir ons kinders moet sê wat dit is dat hulle hoe hulle kan hulle self beskerm as wat ons vir hulle sê moenie seks het nie. Sê vir hulle, maak hulle bewus van die consequences van om seks te hê. Sê vir hulle nee, as jy seks het, dit is die consequences, maar sê ook as jy seks het, dit is hoe jy high consequences kan verwyder, of hoe kan jy deal met die consequences. So how can we actually prevent those consequences from happening? So educating both the prevention of the consequences, but also communicating and talking about them openly about the consequences.
Exactly, absolutely. Yes. And so And so this brings me to this question. I mean, we did talk about.
So what's a youth-friendly clinic? That's for me what's important.
Yeah.
When we talk about young people who are sexually active, what do we mean when we say
youth participation, youth engagement, youth-friendly services?
Is the youth active in your communities? Do you see them being engaged in the clinics, in the police academy? Are you all working together, teachers and schools? Are they all coming together to be able to talk about these issues that affect your communities?
And don't talk about them and problematize their sexual, because we also have been in so many spaces where we're invited as young people.
And don't problematize
they talk to us
them.
About, let's talk about preventing teenage pregnancy. Right? So don't have sex.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're here to say. Yeah. This one had sex and she was pregnant at 15. Yeah. This one had sex and he didn't know anything about consent and he raped and it was rape. This one had sex, so they should not have sex. No. Yes. That's not the conversation.
So you want to include them in that conversation. Yes. You want to talk about them. Yes. You want to talk with them.
Absolutely.
You want to talk with them and bring them into the conversation to say what can we do to make it effective for you, make our strategies effective for you.
Because communities are also not the same. Yeah. Change the whole idea of one size fits all. Yes. Because it's not the case. Yes. In some health facilities are in different kinds of communities. Yeah. Sometimes you find yourself in a faith-based, for example, in a faith-based community. Whether you are someone that's very active in the church or just generally the area in which you are at. Yeah. It's a very active community in terms of faith and understanding faith. And comprehensive sexuality education is important in that space. How do we understand your realities as an individual, but also acknowledge the fact that if you are a sexual being and you're someone who has sex and you want to have sex and you are young, how do we frame the context and the conversation around youth-friendly services without taking away anything from who you are as a person? Yeah. And yet still be able to give you enough and sufficient information. And then you go to another community, a different where there's a lot of young people in that community, which means there needs to be a lot of youth-driven, for example, activities that address issues around sex and sex positive and sexualities. We need a lot of conversation around understanding sexuality, gender identity, gender expression. Zininze zinto that come up as these new foreign terms, but they seem like foreign terms because they're conversations that we never used to have when we were little. Yeah. So someone talks about sexual orientation and I'm thinking, what is that? It's not that it's something that is new, but it is something that a conversation that we've never had. So how do we look at that youth community, for example, bring in the services and the information and involve them and make sure that we're active. So
for example, I'm using myself as an example. I'm gay. Yeah. But you need to be able to include gay boys into this conversation. Absolutely. Make sure that the messages that you're speaking and addressing to young people is inclusive of gay sex and gay individuals or lesbian or whatever sexualities there are,
and not limit each other.
Not limit each other.
I'm Nomtika. Yes. I'm heterosexual. Don't just assume that it's penis and vagina.
And don't put stigma on that gay child, because that gay child will contract HIV if you do not include them in that conversation, or if you police and regulate their gayness.
Because they're gay.
They won't. Definitely not.
Because we tend
they will get HIV because you stopped me. Exactly. You didn't have the conversations with me. You didn't expose me to any of these things. So that is what youth-friendly and really differentiated care looks at.
And it's about the fact that this is Lance, and Lance is a healthcare worker. And Lance Uwan, I always use this example of, imagine Lance Uwan and a facility E1. I need to be able to, as Nomtika, with my needs, whether it's with my needs in terms of HIV prevention, in terms of wanting to have a conversation about some funny discharge that I'm having and I'm not necessarily understanding what it means. It's about me getting an IUD, for example. I'm HIV positive and I want to have an abortion. What does that mean? What does that come with? I was sexually harassed, I am pregnant, I got infected, and I want to have an abortion. How can you support me in those holistically in the case? So I'm a woman. I was raped. I need access to PEP, for example, if I tested HIV negative. If I test positive, what does it mean? But also, I need to have an abortion because I am pregnant. So then there's the conversation of, do we actually have also access to safe and legal abortion services? But then I walk out of that clinic and you help me. And then another person walks in. And this is a woman who has sex with other women. And then they have different needs. So I am here, I am looking for lubricant, for example. I need dental dams. I don't want silicone lubricant because, you know, my sex toys get affected. I need dental dams. So you, in the same facility and the same lance, needs to be capacitated. Funeka a train well enough for and someone else walks in. The same healthcare worker is trained well enough to be able to cater to the second person that walks in. So if you have one centered facility, it needs to be able to accommodate wonkumtu.
Yeah, but what's so important, Nomtika, is the fact that as health professionals, we constantly need to be able to equip ourselves with knowledge and skills. And so, for example, when we think about PrEP and what's going to be happening with PrEP and these interventions, and if government does decide to roll it out, it's important for us to be able to know what it is about and already start reading up on it and understand what is going on with PrEP
and what our role is.
And also the fact that PrEP is actually not the solution. So being careful to now make PrEP dual protection is important. That you need to use condoms. You still while using PrEP. PrEP does not exclude condom use because you can still contract chlamydia and gonorrhea and other forms of STIs.
And you can still fall pregnant.
And you can fall pregnant because it's not a contraceptive.
Exactly.
It's not an actual birth control that's going to stop you from actually falling pregnant. So how do we actually talk about these things and equip ourselves with this knowledge that's out there and what platforms? And this is why we're doing this, to be able to give you, to conclude in part in this conversation.
And another important thing, especially to e-healthcare workers and people that are working in service of all of us and helping us fulfill our rights and all of that. So our teachers, our healthcare workers, our police officers, our even faith-based organizations, and some of the things that they have to deal with, especially in this context. Self-care. Can we just also talk about self-care in the context of reproductive justice, in the context of preventing HIV?
What is self-care?
And self-care is basically being able to, because we live busy lives. We do not live single issue lives. It just means breathing. I'm
not only a nurse, I'm also a mother. I am a friend.
I'm a sister who's going to want to go out for drinks on Friday.
My daughter is also at risk of HIV and she's probably HIV positive. I have a gay son.
How do I debrief?
How do I debrief?
How do I deal with how do I try, I don't know if dealing or trying to deal with or managing my life, that this intersecting life of mine, and still be able to say, I need time out, I need to be able to breathe, I need to be able to process everything that is happening and not overburden myself. Because all aspects of our lives come with something, right? So this is what I do, this is what I get paid to do, but you know, I also need to send money back at home, and I've got to go for my boyfriend who just made me pregnant, and I need to deal with that, and I'm also a healthcare worker. So there's actually people that are gonna come with me, their issues zabo, and right now, so how do you try to be able to be that individual, but also be able to just take some time, stop, breathe and reflect. So self-care, and self-care comes in many forms, you know. Sometimes self-care is not go out and be off the grid and sleep, but it's just developing yourself also well enough to be able to resist, to be able to challenge these barriers, to be able to ask questions of certain things that you do not understand, to be able to call out a system if it is being violent. Where young girls will come and say, we need a contraception, we need PrEP, we need this, that. You want to give it to them, but it's not available in the facility. So now you feel like you are feeding into this system that is oppressive, because then they're not making e-services accessible. So how do you also deal with being in that space and sort of finding, and how do you sort of still be able to be, because we can't just expect sometimes in healthcare. We understand that nani ningabantu, you see, and we understand that nani, you've got families and you've got lives, and nina stress, and your stresses can be financial, but they're gonna affect how you engage with it. So self-care is about you acknowledging,
and it's so important, I think. And as a concluding point, I think in essence and overall, it's important that we understand as health professionals the role and impact that we have as gatekeepers to HIV prevention and for HIV care generally, that we are at the forefront doing that work. And so it's so important for us to be able to invite and be welcoming to our clients coming into our spaces, and be able to adequately serve them in the ways that really that where they can get the best out of the care that we have in order for them to be protected from STIs and from other sexual and reproductive health issues.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So great. That was nice.
That was a fascinating conversation, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for watching
in this conversation and engage with us further.
And we do hope that everyone is gonna have safe, happy sex lives.
Very safe, happy sex lives.
And also we just also need to emphasize also just maybe in terms of your choice. Remember, whenever if you have sex, it has to be you wanting to have sex.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. And make that clear.
Yeah.
Make that very clear.
Yeah.
That both of you are comfortable with sex, and you are particularly comfortable that you want to.
Or all four of you.
Or all four of you, if that's the arrangement. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll have this conversation some other time.
Yes.
There's a lot of other things that we touched on that we didn't get in detail with. And maybe when we get another opportunity
to do this,
then we will share this with you.
But you can check the links that will be available
that you see below
to log onto those links and see if you can find more information, and constantly equip yourself with more information online and find other opportunities to engage and find out lots of other sources and resources out there. Okay,
that's great.
Thank you. Thank you. This video was supported by
Sexual and Reproductive Justice Coalition.
Gonna go? Are we both gonna go? How is this gonna work?
Let's see if we can both go.
It's a pink penis. It's a pink double-sided dildo, so we can actually put it on both sides. Yeah, that's the only one. They don't have any proper dildos.
Take that to shade.
They don't have.
Yeah, so I got these from our thingy. Oh my God. Can we? Lay the pipe. Go dong.
Okay. Oh.
When you're being naughty. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Really good.
It smells like really good dick.